In my previous video, I talked about the 3 steps I use when I teach people about meditation. Those steps are the 3 Bs. I'll tell you more about those. Don't worry if you haven't seen the previous video, I'll tell you all about them. But if you want to go back and watch that video, we used the 3 steps to initiate a breathing exercise. And in this video, we're going to use the 3 steps to initiate a mindful practice. I'll explain to you what mindfulness is and how you can start using mindfulness in real life, integrating it into your days. Hello and welcome to the Pause First Academy channel. I'm Kim Colegrove. Today we're going to talk about my favorite 3 steps. I designed these 3 steps many years ago when I first started to teach people how to meditate. And I created these 3 steps because I realized pretty quickly as I started talking to people about meditation and teaching workshops, I realized that people need some structure, like some 1, 2, 3s and ABCs, that people learn better when there are steps of some kind, at least in the beginning. So if you tell someone that's new to meditation or even maybe a little skeptical, well, listen, all you have to do is just sit down and breathe and chill. It's that's counterintuitive to almost all of us, and it trips people up. Like, it's really hard for people to just sit still and they don't know what to do and what is supposed to be happening. What's supposed to be going on. So I created these 3 steps as a way to teach people how to begin meditating with a little structure. So I call these 3 steps the 3 Bs, and those are breathe, body, be. In the previous video, we used the 3 Bs to initiate a breathing exercise. I spent quite a bit of time talking about each one of these steps. It is raining really hard today, and we're having a thunderstorm. And so if you can hear the thunder in the background, and you hear the loud booms and crashes, that's what's going on. If it gets too dicey, I guess I'll have to bail out because I think there might also be a tornado watch. Okay, onward. So the 3 Bs: breathe. We start with the breath, right? All of these practices, breathing, mindfulness, and meditation, they all start by using the breath. The breath carries us into the practice or the exercise. And why do we use the breath? Well, the breath is our built-in mechanism for calming our system. When we breathe deeply and slowly, that helps slow down our heart rate. That can bring our blood pressure down. There are some measurable, quantifiable improvements that happen to our physiology when we slow down and deepen our breath. So step 1, breathe. Step 2, body awareness. That helps us bring our awareness into the present moment, into the here and now. In our society, most of us spend most of our time mentally in the past or in the future, or focusing on people and things and circumstances that we cannot control. When you understand what mindfulness is and how it can help you, you understand that it can be a very powerful tool. Just developing the ability to check in with self, into the present moment in time, can offer you a pocket of relief and a moment of mental clarity. This can help you become an adult with the ability to regulate your nervous system, balance and regulate your emotions, and become a responsive person instead of habitually reactive. I hope that makes sense. We live in a society full of habitually reactive people, emotionally dysregulated people. So to be one who has the ability to get checked into the moment, to practice a bit of mindfulness, to experience that equanimity, that calm, that's what empowers you to respond to life, to respond to other people, to respond to situations and circumstances uh, in a more controlled, managed, balanced way. And what you get from a lot of people is nonstop habitual reactivity. And All of us are guilty of that, of course. We all get reactive from time to time, but man, is it an empowering practice to understand mindfulness and begin to use it in the way that I'm describing. So I want to walk you through a brief mindful practice. And I'm going to use an example because most people have experienced this. So to kind of get you to the understanding and feeling place of this, let's talk about road rage and traffic and being late for an appointment. Okay, this will help you to start to think about how and when might I start using mindfulness? Where would I apply this? So, in this example, we'll imagine that you have an important appointment. Let's say it's a doctor's appointment, and you've had it scheduled for a very long time, and but you left a little bit later than you should. And as you're driving to the doctor's appointment, you run into construction, which has caused a ton of traffic, and now you are stressed. The anxiety kicks in. You're looking at the clock. You cannot be late. As you look at the traffic, there is no way you're going to be on time. So, whatever your reactions are to these kind of things, some of us get anxious, some of us get angry. So, maybe you're like, you have the death grip on the steering wheel and you're riding the bumper of the person in front of you and you're cussing out the Department of Transportation, for doing construction, or whatever it is. But you do feel yourself get elevated. So, this would be the perfect opportunity to practice mindfulness. For a lot of adults, it is hard to shift because we get caught up in throwing our adult fits. Once we get elevated and the anxiety kicks in and we get angry and we get reactive, whatever those things are we do. Sometimes we get kind of addicted to that. So it might be a little heavy lifting in the beginning to train yourself um, out of that and into this exercise that I'm about to share with you. But the benefits are worth the effort, let me tell you, because you can get angry, upset, anxiety out the wazoo. You can, honk and cuss out everyone and ride bumpers, but none of that is going to get you to your appointment on time. There's nothing you can do in this car that will get you to your appointment any faster. So you might as well breathe and try and release tension and bring some equanimity, some balance, some calm to the situation. If for no other reason, especially if it's a doctor's appointment, what's the first thing they do when you get there? They take your blood pressure, right? So if that's the only reason you do it. But if you do this in the big picture on a daily basis, as a daily practice, and then when you need it acutely, both. All right, right. So you're on the road and you're all stressed out, so you're using it acutely, like, whew, I got to calm down and get a hold of myself, or using it daily, regularly, or many times a day, just as a general practice. The benefits are worth it because of the physiological, mental, emotional, and physical benefits that are available through a practice like this. All right. So, and I do recommend that you don't just use it acutely. It's way better if you start experimenting with it regularly, because the more you experiment with it, the more likely you are to use it at that point of choice in the moment when you're overwhelmed and flooded. I hope that makes sense. If you're doing it regularly and practicing, it'll kind of become like second nature. All right. So, in this situation, or any situation, when you want to use the 3 B's as a mindful practice, you start with step 1. The first B is breathe. So you just deepen and slow down your breathing. That's step 1. So you can start right now while you listen to me. Start breathing just a little deeper than you normally do. Kind of slow down or stretch out that exhale as much as you can and push all that old stale air out. Just exhale completely. The exhale is as important as the inhale. And now do a few rounds of this deep, full breathing, at least 2 or 3. If the full breathing makes you feel uncomfortable or lightheaded, or you have any kind of an uncomfortable response, then you go ahead and let your breath regulate, right? And maybe just notice your breathing. Just observe it and pay attention to it. We're not trying to get you to do anything here that's uncomfortable. So once you get your breathing going, you get a couple of good breaths. You're paying attention to that to make sure that you're, breathing rhythmically and fully and exhaling. Step two, the second B is body. Now you bring your awareness to your body. Several different ways you can do that. So some people will just notice where their body's in contact with the seat they're sitting in. You can try that right now. Just give it a second. Can you just notice or observe where your body is in contact? Feel it, observe it. Or maybe where your feet are in contact with the floor, or what your feet feel like in your shoes. There's a couple of ideas. And it's not about doing anything or making it feel different. It's just about noticing and observing. You could also bring your awareness to your face. Notice if you're holding tension in your mouth or jaw, and make sure there's space between your teeth. Bringing your awareness to your body. Maybe your shoulders are up around your ears. You can release that tension, lower them down away from your ears. So it's not always about doing something like releasing tension. It really is more about just observing, noticing, becoming aware of. And here's why. Here's why we do this. When you start breathing, shift your breathing even just a little bit by taking a couple of full breaths, and you notice or you place your awareness on the breathing. You can't focus on that breathing, feel the breathing, notice the breathing, and continue to obsess about, focus on whatever had you upset, angry, overwhelmed, stressed out, flooded, whatever, even if it's for a second or two, right? You can't bring your awareness to your body, observe, notice, check in, and nonstop worry, repeat, ruminate, whatever you were doing that had you anxious, upset, out of the moment, overwhelmed, unclear. I hope this makes sense. Our brains just don't have the ability to completely split. So if you can train your brain to focus on the breathing, then bring the awareness to the body, check in with the body, just observing, then you've given yourself at least a few seconds of relief. You've shifted things at least for a few seconds. And listen, if you can do it for 2 seconds or 3 seconds, then you can practice and develop the ability to do it for 10 seconds of relief, and eventually 30 seconds. And eventually you can stay with it for a minute or more. And a mindful practice can be 15 seconds. So you can take a breath, breathe, body, be. Take a breath, check in with your body, what's going on, and just be with it for a second. 15 seconds. That's enough for a quick reset. It might take some practice and it might take some time, but listen, the juice is worth the squeeze, I promise. Okay, let's do one together here. Just spend a minute or so before we wrap up, kiss and cry, and say goodbye. All right, I'll invite you to find a place to sit down if you want to really experience this. So let me give you a second here while you find some place to sit down so that you can just kind of sink into it and see what it feels like. And I'll just walk us through. How about we'll spend about a minute, okay? All right, so we're going to use the 3Bs, sitting comfortably. Close your eyes down so you can really experience this. If you're not comfortable holding your eyes closed, just find something to gently stare at. All right, let's start with step one. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breath to get started, and paying attention to your breathing, meaning you feel it, you observe it, you listen for it. Breathe. All right, we're off and running now. Step two, body. Keep breathing here and bring your awareness to your body. How does this work for you? What feels good or comfortable? Can you just observe how your feet feel in your shoes? or notice where your body is in contact with the seat, just observing that contact and what that feels like. Okay, so we're breathing. We've checked in with our body. We're present now. Now let's just be with it for a second or two. Just be. Breathe, body, be right here in this moment in time, right now, present, checked in, aware. That's it. That's it. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute or two, and that's all you have to do. If you need to, you could just breathe and go through the steps we just went through, all the while mentally repeating to yourself, breathe, body, be. You could just repeat those 3 words over and over again. That might help you stay anchored into this brief practice. I'd love to hear in the comments below what you think about this. I'd love for you to just let me know how you felt, if you noticed anything, if you did feel that you got a little more checked in. I'd also like to know if you plan on experimenting with this. Is any of this breaking through? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate your time so much. If you want more information, scroll through my videos or go to my playlist. You can go over to Pause First Academy. I always have something for free over there. Go take my free Meditation 101 course. It's short, simple. It'll explain more about this powerful personal practice. There's a couple of downloadable PDFs over there. So lots of ways you can connect with me for free and without spending or devoting a ton of time either. These are powerful practices, friends. So seriously, take advantage of all the free opportunities and the free ways you can connect with this information and practice, practice, practice. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time.